Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. Here is an almond for her. She was very much looking forward to that. Oh man, so it is 10 a.m. It is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so zero Celsius. It looks nice outside. I haven't been outside. I haven't been out there yet, though. All right, so we kind of went on a huge detour, and I'm finally back. I'm back, baby. But I've come back with some new, what I believe to be new knowledge. And the new knowledge is that basically, while you can't we get the cyclic, I don't know how I left this. I think I left it working. We get the cyclic error if we have two for root services that inject each other. So you can't do that. But sometimes you need to be able to do both and to be able to use both in order to accomplish something. And we've sort of run into a situation like that with animations. So early on in the very beginning, I had decided that I wanted to kind of set aside a little bit of space for the animations. So when you come in here, there'd be something interesting to look at, and then even added a little bit of like logic so that like if there's two of them, you get a different animation and stuff like that. And that was right at the beginning when we were super primitive. And the problem is at this point, I realized, well, one of the problems I realized is that animations is actually, I've conflated three things. Um, and it should have really jumped out at me because, we ended up with ST and three. So obviously, I think it makes sense that there would be an ST animations and ST animations. So in general, how this is all played out is everything in ST is sort of how I want to be able to describe a visualization. And everything in three is what I need to do to sort of bridge any differences between what I want things to be like how it is in three. Right, so three kind of defines exactly. They define their own things, so that all that, but it does so that we get all these things, but it doesn't align with how I want things to do. So I have an ST section that describes how I want things to work, and then a three section that that sort of jumps the gap. Well, animations actually has three things, right? One is how the request animation frame. So managing how the browser decides to update the screen is one thing. But then the other thing is how three views just something that I would describe. So like maybe I describe something as a circle animation, and that doesn't mean anything in three, but it does mean but so any calculations that are going to help me accomplish to act on three to do that probably should be inside of three. So there probably should be a three animations and ST animations, and then this animations I guess should be kind of set aside for um, actually interacting with the UI, the browser. But if we look in here, I think we ended up with like a whole bunch of different, um, like we have a bunch of three stuff that knows how to update, yeah, meshes. See, this is all three specific, but it takes my ST animation. And then we have this update property for animation, create animation function for ID. So this seems to be fully like ST stuff, right? It's just like, hey, this is how I describe things for ST. We do a little bit of scene stuff, but adding an animation, this is absolutely pure ST, has nothing to do with three, right? There's no three, like they don't have temporal or any of these kinds of values inside of ThreeJS. And then see, this feels like render hash. So this is all browser specific, right? Like that is on the browser. Um, And it is weird that this is an animation. Set position for viz component. Feels like that's what decides that this is going to get moved, the whole visualization, which I know I want those things to be animatable. And then yeah, so like this is just like I said, it's sort of in retrospect, or at this point in time, it's sort of like it could be broken down into three sub animation could be broken down into three subtopics, and one subtopic would be the interacting with the um, request animation frame. The other subtopic could be to um, like how I describe it. So these are all like this is ST stuff. That's how it's described. But then I think there's a place in here where we get like three at the very top where we get like three stuff. It's all about three.js stuff, and it's just like those things probably could be broke. It'd probably be a lot easier to kind of make sense of things. See, this is all I think three stuff. We're taking an animatable object, which yeah, so the only is a three.js mesh, right? It takes a three.js mesh and it makes changes in three.js. So this feels like it should just be purely in three. It should live over here in something called animations. So that's kind of one set of work, and teasing out the three, breaking it down architecturally. The three thing probably doesn't make sense to do right now, but it does make sense to do, and it'd be easy to forget. So let's go ahead and go to GitHub and create an issue for that in our space and time. Because what we're working on now is a bit different, but like I didn't know. I didn't know. And so let me go to issues. I only have two at this time. So this is what we're working on right now. This I think is going to be also another big refactor. So basically what's happened was very first thing I did was create, right? We're working on CRUD, create, read, update, delete, CRUD, CRUD. And the very first thing I did was create. And so I got create, but I did a lot of like side effects. I'm just going to just automatically do this and automatically do that because we're early on. You can't really build out like all the kind of supporting structures around it. And then we did read, and read has been fine and all that, but read also, needs we did like a lot of like just side effect stuff with the read, because all you can do is create and read. And then we did update, no, then we did delete, and we got it to where we could add and delete things, and then we started working on update. As soon as we started going and update, basically all kinds of like architectural issues sort of started to show up. So now what I need to do but now this for animation we haven't touched animation since create, so it is completely underdeveloped, and so I need to add that. But we also what we're actually trying to do is well, one thing. Okay, so let me just take care of that. Let's take care of that. Um, so so re architect animations. Uh, so um, so right now animations are um, conflated, have three potential topics conflated. There's really, like it's hard to write something like this up and just be clear, like, hey, you did it the right way when the time was, but now things have moved forward and it's a little clearer. One is request animation frame interactions. So RA RA animations service. I think I usually do singular service.ts to st descriptions and attributes and behaviors. So that would probably be st animation service.ts, and then 3 is 3 attributes and behavior are, yeah. And this is probably going to be very, very tricky. Well, when we break this up, um, we're probably gonna we're gonna learn a lot, especially I think when we do the 3 animation service. Um, and I don't see how we could have known that or even set this up properly. Probably could have. I guess we could have set it up properly. If I had to do it again, I guess start from scratch, I guess I would probably start off with those broken up like that. But I don't think that that is a fatal flaw. All right, so that is good, and that's in the feature. So the problem now is basically when you click, so just to get back to the original problem, when you go this, these things keep getting faster. And if you look at it's kind of easier to see when you just have one. Um, so we add one, right? We have one thing, and then this is sort of describes everything, and we have one animation. Now, if we go to back to this view, now we look in here, and what we'll see is that now there's 2 animations. We got this animation and that animation, and we don't want that. Now, one thing that kind of became clear, again, another sort of gap that became very clear and wasn't specific to learning about how to use multiple singletons and stuff like that, and dependency injection and all that stuff that we did over there. But the other thing that I realized is that you really it these things need to be tied to user actions, not or not like just side effects. So right now, like in certain places, we just automatically add an animation, but really, so then that's why we need to get like these services and stuff injected into each other. But really, what it should have happened was when you hit the button, the animation should get added as part of hitting the button, not part of whatever side effects that we're doing. So we kind of need to unwind. Well, first we need to provide a way to add, or we need to unwind the existing ways of adding. But well, we definitely will have to do both. So in order to get this work, and I guess that is part of this bug. So let's go ahead and get started on figuring out how in the world we're going to do that. Um, so basically, we have 2 choices, right? We can work on the unwinding and pull stuff out, or we can add when you click. So basically, what will happen is you'll end up with 2, and then because one is going to get added as part of the click. Um, so I think that's what I want to work on first, and then once I've done that, then remove the other ones. Just in personal experience, that's always been the way I've seen things like this done. So what do we have going on right now? Okay, and then that was like another thing is we realized, or I kind of started blaming things on these effects running more than one time. So we kind of have that in there. I think most everything, all the code in here. So is this a code? Okay, yeah, add renderers for custom view, animate renderers for custom view. So like it's kind of, see, if we had this like in ST, like I don't know what this is doing. Like, is it doing stuff with the request animation frame? Is it doing stuff just adding these, creating these things? What, like, I don't even know what it's doing. And that would be, if we had that other thing, it would be broken down pretty well. We'd be able to see what this add renderer does. Animation service, add animation to SG. So it kind of looks like this actually adds an animation. Okay, so this one is literally just adding a effect. It's just like a console log and then a comment. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Um, I'm sure it was very important. I might end up regretting that, but for now, I'm trying to just only keep what I absolutely need to keep at this point. So we have our new knowledge, and now we're not actually using our new knowledge yet. Oh, shoot. So I think I hit Control Z in here. Animation. What in the world? All right. You know what? I'm going to bail on everything. And basically, let's just start from scratch. I'm sure I'm going to regret this, but it's just like we took that detour and we're so far off of that, what we were doing. And now I think we have a whole different approach that we're taking. So let's see. All right. So basically, this is a two-step process. The first step is going to be to add the animation as part of um, clicking this button. I don't know why we have that. Did I? I don't know if I made a. I don't think I made a commit in this, but maybe I did. Guess we can look over here. No, all we have is the merge. Okay, so that gets rid of a console log. All right, so what we need to figure out is where this add is and see if we can figure out how to add a animation as part of this add behavior. And if I remember correctly, yeah, we have menus. Inside of our menus, we have two, if I remember correctly, we have two menus. We have our app layout menu. This isn't part of layout, and we have our app menu. So that's what I'm guessing this is. So go into here, and I'm going to close everything else out. Close others, and it looks like it's this guy, add viz. Add click viz handler. So here, basically just call add visualization. We basically say, hey, don't let this prevents the click from getting handled by anything above it. Um, and then this is the thing that um, does that. Now I wonder, because I remember we had to add like code so that when it popped, oh yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we still need that. Excuse me, sorry. All right, so we're going to add visualization, and then this calls add renderer. So when we add a render, I don't think, so when we add a renderer, we definitely should add all the um we should add all of the um what am I thinking here? When we add a renderer, we should definitely add all the pieces of the renderer, like the so like the mesh and oops, like the mesh and the width and yeah, the mesh and the materials, all those things, the scene, the camera, all of those things should be added. But we probably should not add the animation. The animation probably should then like add visualization. This is probably where we should add our animation to our renderer. add default animation to the renderer. That's what we want to do here, right? Console.log add animation here. And, like I have to ask myself, right? Like, okay, why didn't I do that to begin with? And it was because I didn't have one of these to begin with. When we first started this stuff, what happened was it just came up with a renderer, right? We didn't have the buttons and all that stuff. So um, you didn't have to push a button. You just got one originally. Now you have to push the button to get it. So let's just double check that add animation here. Okay. And then I think what I want to do is go to the definition, go to implementation on this one. Console log. See, it's in get base renderer. So log. So I don't think a base renderer should have an animation. But maybe it should. Should a base renderer? I don't think so. I don't think so because I think I do not add animation here. So this is going to help me on the second part because the first part is to add an animation when you go to add, and then the second part is to add the see I'm doing some stuff here that's like adding the animation, which was necessary when we weren't going on button, but now so we do not want to add animation here. Oop. So we may have to come back to look to see how we did this. Do not add animation here. And then see here is where, and this is the reason the visualization service needs the animation service. And really the visualization service probably shouldn't ever be, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm talking out of school there, but I feel like the visualization service should never need the animation service. All right. So basically it seems like both this is the problem. And see, that's the thing is when we destroy and recreate our renderer, or when we like change this, like if we add one here and then we go over here, we have to create a new base renderer because the whole visualization gets destroyed, and then this is already got. I mean, this already has like when you create the base stuff. Okay, so what happens here? Well, I don't know. Let's look at the F12 and say, do not add animation here, do not add animation here. So let's see it clear. Add view, add it. Do not add it here, right? And so now when we change, then we see do not and do not. Oh wait, but then oh no. Okay. So somehow an animation even got added in that situation. And we never even got to the, okay, so let's see. Set animation function for STID. Create animation function. All right, so let's go back over here. So let's look at this. It's like ST animation. All right, so I don't know if I should continue down this, trying to figure out, okay, where is this thing being misadded, or if I think I should go back to the original idea of, okay, how do I add an animation here? Okay, so so this guy, this app animation menu, I guess the way he's set up, he can add as many, like he can create, this one could create a, a function or a class and get the animation renderer and the ST renderer. And this is where I was talking about, like, we better have a really good grip on the other stuff that we learned before we got over here, because things are going to get really confusing. Okay, so this class, so this thing needs to be able to get a, to get the, okay, so we only, okay, so add default. And our default, so that's, so console log. Okay, so our default is added to a mesh. It made it always be that way, right? Is added to a mesh. I feel like even in the very, like when this thing is super, 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 super mature, we'll probably still have default animations. Um, so this is where that gets handled. Um, the default animation would be handled by whatever handles adding. Um, I think that's the way to do it. So first we have to get a, so step one, get a reference, get the mesh ID. And then step two is um, update the mesh to have an animation. So I think that's right. So basically, if we look over here in this thing right here, right on here. So when we look in here, basically, if we look in our mesh, we have our animations. Oh, okay, so actually this isn't right. Okay. I think step two is create a mesh, right? Or create an animation. Create an animation. ST animation. Now, see, an ST animation doesn't know anything about. It knows what kind of animation it is, but it doesn't know what it's tied to. It just is like it, because it can be tied to more than one. So basically, what we need to do in here is then add our animation to this. Associate our animation to this, which is kind of interesting because we don't, well, we give it the animation ID, but we actually give it the whole animation. Which it might actually be the animation. Like maybe it might, I don't know if ST animation, I don't know if this, I don't know. I think this is its own. I don't think this is a reference to this one. I think this is its own. So, so then we need to, so every time we create one of these, I guess when you create one, we're going to create a new animation. right? So for step 2, create a new ST animation. Step 3, associate that um, to the mesh, right? So basically, we get the mesh ID, and I guess actually first that's step 1 is to create the animation. Step 2 is actually, I don't even think we just need to get the whole mesh. Step 3, add the animation to the mesh. Which these all should have, like, shouldn't get done here. These should all have methods that do that. So basically, one, we need to create a brand new ST animation. When we create a visualization, we automatically create a brand new animation. And then we get the mesh, and then we take a copy of that, a full-blown copy of that animation, and we put it in here. And the reason we do that is because um, like it would be so much better, like from a coding perspective, for co- ease of life, to just have a link to this animation instead of actually have the whole animation. But the problem is that how will I ever, like, this is exportable. Now I'm wondering though, like, I probably don't actually even need, all I need is the ID though. If all this was is a set of IDs, that actually works better for me. But again, I feel like that's a kick the can down the road sort of improvement. Right now, we're just trying to get that. So I need to go to GitHub and create another issue. And that is, instead of the ST animations having an array of animations themselves, it needs to have an array of IDs, which would be really nice because that means keeping two in sync will be fairly easy. Um, so And again, that's probably something I even thought of at the time. I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? But it was just like going to be almost impossible. So, okay, mesh, have a list of animation IDs, these, instead of animation. And again, that's probably right now, I would think that will be the next thing I build out. And that would be, it's going to be nice having end-to-end tests to catch that. Okay, so right now, um, every every mesh has an array of ST animations, but uh, please refactor a list of IDs, animation IDs. And again, like the thing that I have to keep reminding myself is that, like, this wouldn't have really even been possible before. Like, we're in a position now to do this, and this is the time and place for that. But for right now, we all I want to do is get it to where we're not just creating extra animations. So the like I said, the first step is to create an ST animation, or is to actually get it to where we create it when it's supposed to be created. Because right now we're not even creating it at the right time. But before we can create it, but the first part of creating an animation is to get the animation. And right now, like, how do I get one of these? I don't even think I have any good thing to get an animation um, in my animation service, and like in my animation service, I have all kinds of things all mixed together. So but we have our animation service, and I'm allowed to get any kind of service I want from the any singleton I want from an app, from a component. I just can't have my different services inject each other. So let's keep that in mind. So do I have my so I remember some sort of random thing that will give me, like if I give this an okay, this will take an animation. So add animation. All right, so okay, so I think what we need to do is separate this out, this piece here, so that we can call this function that will get us one of these. So based on a modulus, it will give us an animation, right? So get animation for mod, and this will return an ST animation. And then, and this doesn't seem like it needs to be a this doesn't seem like it needs to be a I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, like a part of the service itself. It seems like I could have an animation class that just has um a because this is going to be a static class function. And it may be one of those things where like I'm not going to do it now, but I might in the future. I could see myself being like, by default, I always take any static function that isn't dependent on state and put it into its own class. Um, I don't know. I don't know exactly if that's a good idea or not. But we also know we want to take a mod, which is a number. And then I'm not too worried about um, these things. It's kind of, oh man, this is kind of a bummer. So add animation, you have to give it a mesh. If that is weird. So I have to give it an ST mesh when I add my animation. Okay, but yeah, let's go look at this. Go to definition. Okay, so I think this might have been, wait, what is the animation ID? What do I even use my ST object for? Okay, so this is the piece, actually okay, so I want to create a new ST animation like this. Yeah, I think this might have been a mistake. It would surprise me if this goes away. Although, yeah, it looks like so an animation ID comes from here. Okay, so I need this. Ooh, lordy. So that's going to be my animation ID. It's going to generate, this is where my animation ID gets generated. And then my alias depends, right? So my alias is this thing, I think. So my type, my animation ID is that. My alias is probably this mesh rotation X. Let's go look at that. I think I have that defined too. Yeah, so you only have three possible ones. Yeah, X, Y, and Z. Okay, so alias is equal to um, so I only have three choices, right? Oh, it's a ST. I think it's an ST alias type. Is animation alias path? I can't remember what it was. ST animation. Let's do this. Let's go to definition. And then these are the three aliases I think I can do. Let's hit the back. Oh man, ST alias. So it's a three path alias type. I want that to be, for the moment, ST-rect, but I actually want this to be, so this isn't a mod, this is just our number. This is count, whatever we're sitting in there. And basically the mod is going to be one of three, const zero alias mod count, and then alias. So there's three possible choices. So I'm just going to say alias mod is equal to, and how did we figure out the mod? It's like um, count percent 3. I believe that will give me a 0, 1, or 2. And then basically I'm going to say, um, how do I do that? There's like, I guess we'll do this like const aliases. This is equal to 0 colon mesh rotation. So basically, I just wanted to like be able to look in this dictionary and see what its um, value is. Y, I think Y and Z are the 2 is Z. And I guess what we can do is, I remember yesterday in our other thing, we can say that this has to be a number. This is a map. And then it's like this, and then like, I don't know. And then let's look at this right here. And then let's go to ChatGPT. So yesterday, I think we did one of these maps. Answer that here in a second. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we want this record number like this. So basically we're going to say that this has to be a map and that it has a number and then it has a three path alias type. And then it does this. And then, so it can either be that one of those three, then alias type is going to be aliases, and then alias mod. And so alias can only be a three math. So now we're good. Temporal. It's kind of the same deal. And I don't know what I think there's only two temporals. Yeah, there's discrete, no, temporal limits and infinites. So it's the same deal. This is good practice. I'm excited because it kind of feels like this is starting to feel like setting up these mappings is starting to feel like very automatic. Um, and that's a temporal, a record. So number, comma, and then like that. And there's only two of them. And it's 0 colon infinite. I think limits is the first one I do over there. So I'm just going to do it that. And then 1. But I do think that temporal, I always, yeah, I think so for temporal, actually, well, let's put this in here just so I have it since I did it, but I'm not going to use it at this point. And then I'm going to just do the same thing, const temporal mod is equal to, since there's only two of them, %2, but we don't use it. Okay, so we don't use it, we don't use it, we don't use, yet. Okay, and so because right now we can only support continuous, I think, or infinite. Temporal type. I think that should be a mod, capital M mod. Is equal to, and it is infinite. And it's not helping us because I did not strongly type that. And this, oh, and apparently I called it temporal. Okay, redraw. So const redraw types. It's a colon, it's a record, it's a number, it's a redraw type, I'm guessing, redraw types. That equals, and I think there's only two of those. 0 colon continuous 1 colon discrete. And then since there's only 2, do this. Redraw mod. And then same thing. I think we only support continuous. I believe the discrete is going to be like it only run. Oh, it pops from one to the next, and then continuous is going to be. It's redraw types. Continuous is going to be like it calculates the specific where it goes. So if my redraw, if my like if it's redrawing and it's discrete and it's 1 second, then it would go every second. It would just go like from 0, 1, 2, 3. But if it's continuous, then every 60th of a second it'll calculate where it belongs. Okay, what is time? Time is 0. Okay, I think we're gonna say time is 0 const. And then values. Is equal to, and I think what did I just 0.05? I think it's always 0.05, right? So basically, I think every 0.05 seconds, it calculates the next spot. I guess I don't know. I don't know what values does, if I'm being honest. Hopefully, I in the animations I did that. So we're gonna. I mean, in the I may hopefully in the interface I put a comment in there or something to tell me what all those things are. But it'll be fun making that up again if we have to. All right, so now I have an animation for account. So I guess I don't know. We'll try stuff. Who knows? So now we have this. I don't think we're calling it from anywhere though. And I think what I'm trying to do is get this animation over here in this component. So we want to get a create an animation. So that's what we're going to do here. Const animation is equal to, and I believe I'm pulling in the UI service, this dot animation service. Okay, so before we do that, make sure we're still good. Everything still works. Okay, so now we're going to pull in our animation service. I don't think it's going to be a problem pulling in the animation service here. Not 100% sure. Ooh, why do I have this injector? Show menu. Interesting. I don't know. I don't remember what that's all about, but um, that's one of those examples where animation service, like where I used ChatGPT and it didn't make me smarter. It helped me get where I needed to go, but it didn't make. I feel like anytime you use ChatGPT or any sort of AI, you probably should think to yourself, okay, is this making me smarter or not? And there's nothing wrong with not. I mean, there's absolutely, especially if it's like something that's like a one-off that you're never ever going to do or care about in the future. Um, but you need to be aware. Animation service, I think. All right, so we have our animation service. Let's just kind of make sure that it made sense. Yeah, I think that's right. So now let's just make sure that doesn't cause any problems. So now I'm in paranoia mode. Let's see, add. Okay. So now down here, now that I have my animation service, I want to create an animation. This might end up being a terrible mistake. I don't know. Animation. I don't think so. I think the way I did it before was the terrible mistake. So st animation is equal to this dot animation service dot count. Let's just go 0. That's just this add count, add visualization. We're going to just say this is going to be how many times a visualization has been added. Now I don't know. Yeah, I think this will. Yeah, I think this is where add count equals 0. All right. So every time we add one, we're going to integrate it. It shouldn't change as we change views and stuff like that. I don't think. It'll be interesting to see actually. Let's add count. Okay, so this should create me an animation to here. Log animation, new animation, comma, animation. And we're going to come over here, we're going to look in here, and we're going to do this, add. So here's our new animation. So this is what we want to add to this mesh. So we'll end up with 2, right? Because whatever else is adding it, we'll add theirs too. But see, we have 2 animation. Do we have 2 animations? No, we did not add our new animation. So our new animation that was created was animation ID 7. Oh, see, 7 is null. Okay, so yeah, now we got to make sure that we add it to the list of animations. And if I remember correctly, we need our... I was going to call it quits, but I do want to get this thing squared away. It's our... It's a service. It's a utility service, I believe. Maybe not. What different services do we have? Angular, app model, entities, UI, general positioning, timing. Okay, it's animation, get animation for count. Wait, okay. So we got an animation. It created an animation. Okay, let's go over here. Get animation for count. Go to definition. So we got our animation for our count. For here, where do we add these things? Get seen by ID. Okay, where did we create? Oh, we generate, okay, this is where we generate our SDID. Okay, I think we have to register it too once it's been created. It's kind of awkward, but we 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 can't really it would be nice if when we generated we created, but the animation doesn't exist. So this dot recyclable service dot associate and animation. All right. Ooh, oh, and our animation, ST animation ID. All right, now we should get our new animation, but it's not going to be associated with anything yet. Right, when I say add, then we come over here and number 7, see we have 2 animations, we have 7 and 8. right now our mesh is associated with animation ID 8, but we also want 7 in here, and then we want to go back. And once we have that done, that means every time, like we won't, it'll only happen when that only happens when we hit the button, right? And then we can go in and figure out how to prevent these other animations from getting assigned. And then this will be done, and then we can probably work on making it where this is just an ID, not the whole animation. So then all we'd have is 8, but then that's going to be different because whatever the recycling code has to be, well, whatever updates this to actually make this rotate, that code will have to be able to look up an animation ID and not just get an ID. And who knows if, like, I don't, that code probably cannot, it's probably in a service that can't inject the other service. So we're going to have to come up with some other way of getting the right data. So that should be very, very interesting. The ID thing. And then once that's done, that's probably when it'll be a good time to take the animation functionality and sort of subdivide it into 3 sections. And that's one that would be interacting with the request animation frame of the browser specifically, one that will be handling any ST kind of stuff, and then one that will be handling any kind of 3 kind of stuff. So anyways, happy coding everybody. Bye.